Hi guys, great to be here. Really excited, I would say. I must say it's been a great opportunity to speak here. And you can see the interesting topic I'm going to talk about. So, Finland is special because a lot of us at InMobi believe that mobile has made anyone in the world to create a large business. And whether I'm speaking in Helsinki or in Silicon Valley or in Chengdu or in China, I just feel that Finland is one of the hotbeds for innovation. And I feel at home because we are actually another sort of global startup out of India, Bangalore. And we feel that just because we are based in Bangalore or Helsinki or China does not mean we can't compete against the Silicon Valley giants. So pretty excited about that and really thrilled about what we're doing here. My topic is the yin and yang of mobile advertising. It's special to me. It's something which I believe is critical as we move forward on the mobile arena. I'll talk a bit about that. Quickly, a quick intro. Of course, I head products for InMobi, so I'm a product guy. InMobi, as some of you may know, is one of the world's largest independent mobile advertising platform. Pretty large, global 872 million unique users that we reach almost every month. 165 countries. We process some crazy amount of data. 420 terabytes of data per day processed. And you can imagine, right? We have offices across the world, almost do like 200 billion impressions per month. So it's been a great journey. It's been 7 years. So we are mobile first, 7 years, funded by, of course, SoftBank Japan, Kleiner Perkins, and Sherpalo, and really proud to be funded by those people who have built great businesses, the likes of Alibaba and Tencent, and of course, a lot of bigger companies. We work with top developers, brands, and commerce clients, and really excited to sort of help a lot of developers to both monetize and distribute. So what's this whole yin and yang I'm talking about? Why am I even talking about it in this stage? We believe that this is the Eastern Chinese concept which we're applying on how we look at mobile and the art and science. And if you really look at it, these are concepts that are meant to describe how seemingly opposite or contrary forces are actually a lot more complementary. They're a lot more connected or interdependent. And we believe that in mobile, there's a lot more happening on how you leverage that art and science for this to work together. The old concepts of light and dark, fire and water, male and female, all have been applied on natural forces on this. And we've actually looked at this in the way to look at mobile advertising in terms of how this could mean pretty important things for us. So what do I mean by that? What does this mean for mobile? Look at this, right? A lot of things in mobile has changed dramatically. From a pure art sense, all of us understand that the form factor is so small that you've got to be very careful about design, aesthetics, the visual appeal of the experience you give to your consumers. And you can see how people have done that for a lot of things. It's the way you read content, the way you read news on Flipboard, the way we listen to music, the way we consume, possibly order for food, order for taxis. The whole world out there has changed dramatically in mobile. And it's a true sense of art that's important in the way you understand your consumers. Because guess what? We heard about like thousands and thousands of apps out there. How do you ensure that you grab the attention of your consumer with your application? There's another dimension there which is even more important. It's about how much mobile can actually grasp the emotions of the user. We can actually understand to what extent users sort of publicly feel about their moods or aspirations or emotions. Look at, a lot of us use Pinterest, where users actually show what they aspire for, what they like, what they fancy. Another very interesting app is Whisper or Secret, where all of us increasingly are expressing our emotions a lot more real time, a lot more publicly. And that's an important trend that even gaming should look up to. And I think it's important because in gaming, this whole thing applies beautifully because there's a lot more happening on game design. That's something I of course, can't teach you guys. You guys are pretty strong, and game design is so integral to the gaming piece altogether. So that's taken care of. It is a lot happening around the world, and the kind of games that we have out there is beautiful. So that's already being used on the gaming side. But the big question is, if you are so convicted about the quality of a user experience, why shouldn't advertising be as beautiful? Why shouldn't we ensure that users love what they see on advertising? Because there's a lot of effort you guys are making on building your games and protecting your user experience. And that's why it's important to sort of apply that in the advertising world also. Look at how all of us leverage the emotions of the user. I mean, we all understand that in a good game, a user goes through thousands of emotions at a point in time. And are we even aware of the kind of roller coaster that the user is going through? At some point, they are frustrated. At some points, they are disappointed. They are thrilled. They are happy. They are kicked. And a lot of game mechanics ensures that those emotions are leveraged, whether in terms of rewards or tips or nudges. A lot of you guys do that. The same question applies again. If all this is happening in gaming, in the kind of game you guys create, why shouldn't this be applied to advertising also? How do we make advertising beautiful and emotional enough for the user, given that that's the sort of game you guys have built out? So that's the yin concept. How do you look at the yang? I mean, why is the yang? And in this case, the yang is about the power of the data that mobile generates. I mean, I'm sure we can talk about this for years, but mobile is actually not just a device. I mean, I feel it's actually a fire hose. It's a fire hose of raw data. It generates almost 10x more data signals than what desktop ever did, because the user spends almost like so much time in the day. It is data about so many cool things that you can't even imagine how this can be used. So whether it is, I mean, the standard stuff of geography and city and location are all known, but imagine what you can do if you understand the activity patterns of a user. What are they doing? Are they actually commuting? Is this user in Tokyo? And I know that this user sort of commutes fixed times in the day from this place to this place. Or this lady is a housewife who spends this times in the evening playing games or watching music or whatever. Or do I know if this user is actually walking or running or sleeping or driving? Imagine the power of those data signals. And I just want to sort of highlight how powerful this data can be for the way you guys look at it. I mean, it's actually a gold mine. And we believe that this yang cannot be sort of ignored upon as such. These signals are so powerful. They are so useful in the way we look at mobile advertising, in the way we look at mobile distribution, that I want to share a part of that. So a lot of this stuff is where one has to understand how do we leverage this fire hose of data signals. How do we understand, how do we build profiles of users who are doing all this on the device throughout the day? I mean, they could be at the movie, they could be playing your game, but they're doing a lot more on the device. It's not just about playing your game alone. And we ensure that we build out these profiles for consumers globally, about 1 billion users globally, in understanding what games are they playing. Are they actually walking back home? Are they browsing music? Are they looking at maybe a news app? Or are they in the bus? I mean, you can use activity patterns and motions to understand that also. And imagine building a profile like this of 1 billion users. Imagine what this could mean if you combine this with the yin concept as such. And that's why we believe that this is interesting as we go about doing it and how we look at it. What could this mean for gaming? I talked about how this could be interesting in mobile in general. But in gaming, we believe beyond those consumer profiles that you talked about, we have gone ahead and said, let's build granular user profiles based on what they truly like in gaming. I mean, I think the days when you're trying to announce and talk about a user just liking casual games or mid-core games is just very, very old. I think we've gone 3 steps beyond that and saying, can I look at my user and understand, does this user like a bubble burst game a lot more than pattern matching games? Do these users like endless runner games? Or within strategy, do they like a lot more with blood and gore and strategy or physics? That is the sort of depth that the world has gone into. And that's the sort of depth that we believe will actually help in combining this data, this user profiling at scale to help you guys. So now what? I mean, we talked a lot about these concepts. We talked about yin and yang and the creativity and the art and the science. But how should this whole thing come together for the way you guys do business, for the way you guys look at distribution and mobile monetization? I think that's the million-dollar question in terms of how we look at it. And I want to share a couple of examples of how we have done this and how this could mean something special for you guys. I mean, look at this example. This is one of the companies we work with. They're based in Denmark, and it's an endless runner game. What they did with, from a monetization perspective, said, we have invested so much on my user experience, we just cannot look at having banners. We got to need something far more special. How do we make sure we have ads that protect our user experience, that are native to our game itself? And they started working with us on the InMobi native ads platform and saw interesting results in the way our native interstitials could blend into the game characters. There's a lot more happening with many, many such players. And then if you look at the emotional aspect of things, how do we leverage the emotions that the user is going through their game? We said, let's work on this and figure out how at different points of the game can we actually blend very different ad experiences. Can I use a video when the guy has spent like 5 times and frustrated? Can I actually reward him with something because he's already way in close to something, a level that is winning with a rewarded video? Or can I just have something strong as a native interstitial? Each of these aspects is possible today in mobile technology. And we believe that this could, a lot of these things, do a great job of not just combining your user experience, but also ensuring that you make a lot more money. I mean, I think that's the delicate balance of how do I protect my user experience, how do I protect the game that I built through months and months of hard work, and yet ensure I make money. And we believe that a lot of the work we are doing on the ad experiences side helps players like these. Look at how we do stuff on the data side, on the Yang side. We're saying, to what extent am I able to reduce your user fatigue? You just cannot show the user only the same type of ad throughout the day. So there's a lot of back-end technology about how many ads of a certain type has the user seen in a session, in a day, in an hour, in a lifetime. How do you ensure that you utilize all the data about what the user is seeing throughout the day and make sure the user has got a better experience? And all that is done through back-end technology of frequency capping and ad rotation. I don't want to bore you guys with this, but this is what goes behind the scenes when it comes to using this piece. The other piece is, of course, how do you ensure that you use all the signals we just earlier saw for effective targeting and prediction? A lot of companies, I think, ignore this piece. And if you combine all the data signals I talked about, if you combine the fact that users are having a lot more activity throughout the day, this targeting and prediction can go a long, long way in maximizing your eCPM. And imagine this whole thing has to work in combination. The yin and yang, if combined, if connected, if done well, can actually do wonders. And this is what it's done for these guys. I mean, they've just started working with us the last 6 months. Very happy, very thrilled about the results we're giving. And I believe that this is something which we guys can help most other people also. Let's have another example. I mean, this is an example which is a lot more closer to my heart. It's more on the user acquisition side. And we work with a lot of the guys on this front. Happy to say we work very closely with Supercell and Rovio and a bunch of these guys like Machine Zone and all of them. And there's an example where we're saying, how do we utilize and combine the yin and yang for effective user acquisition? How do we do that? Look at this. We're saying, provide a compelling user experience, a lot more creative experience on the ad, ads that users love. And we're actually doing it by a bunch of sort of interesting items. We're saying, let's customize the ad at scale dynamically based on seasons and festivals. So these are some examples of ads we did in Halloween. There were similar examples of ads we did during the FIFA World Cup, which increased the whole conversion rates. Or it could be a cherry blossom in Japan or the Chinese New Year in China. All this is happening at scale throughout all the creatives of this client on a network. Look at this. Having a rich media ad versus a static ad, how do you ensure you do this when you know that the guy is at home and has Wi-Fi connection? Because by design, that ad is pretty heavy. It'll actually render on the phone difficultly. So we ensure that basis the time of day, place, and connection, we look at this customization. And of course, culturally, A lot of stuff on the Western world is where it is a lot more macho, a lot less cluttered. Whereas in the Eastern world, people want to have a lot more lady characters, women characters, all of that. All this is happening at scale. What is happening on the other side? I mean, the yin is good, but how are we doing stuff on the yang piece? That's where I think we've done a lot more work, where we use our entire appographic targeting to ensure that users can be targeted based on what they really like in games. How do we ensure we look at users who have a high propensity to apps like yours, to users that are actually interested in your game and have high LTV? And a lot of this is done through negative targeting, frequency capping, all of that stuff. So we did all this with this client, and it really became powerful because they saw how we are giving them a lot more quality users and using our targeting and prediction. So that's where I want to talk about this whole thing. And I hope these two examples would explain how we look at yin and yang. Finally, I mean, it's more a parting thought. I think we just believe that if you really look at how these polar opposites can come together, they effectively come together and unite in a very different rhythm altogether. And if anyone who has done a great job of combining the yin and yang of these two rhythms in mobile advertising could do wonders with how you look at your users and your business altogether. I invite you guys to work with us. Thanks a lot. Pleasure talking to you. Thank you.